Good evening, everyone. Speaking for the first time since the Federal Reserve's controversial decision to keep interest rates near zero, Chair Janet Yellen late today said she supports a rate hike sometime later this year. It was just 1 week ago that the head of what is arguably the world's most powerful central bank cited low inflation and a weak global economy as reasons not to raise interest rates. Steve Leisman joins us now with more on her speech. So what did she say?
She said that she associated herself as among those who believe that the Federal Reserve will raise rates. It will be appropriate to raise interest rates this year. And the importance of that is last week when she spoke, she said other members of the committee and wouldn't answer the question when asked about what she actually believes. So now you can count the Fed chair as among those who think rates ought to go up, quote, sometime later this year. And I think I know what your follow-up question is.
Does this mean they will, and when? October or December?
It means
if the chair says they're going to.
If the chair says it's likely to happen, although she did give the obligatory caveat of depends on the economic data. It could happen later or it could happen earlier. So the question that the market is obsessed over is this: it will happen next month in October, or will it happen in December? Unclear from what she said. She was very clear that the two things that are keeping down inflation in the economy today, energy prices are sinking fast. Every time I seem to drive in, gas prices are lower, and import prices from two things, which is weak economic economies overseas, and two, the strength of the dollar are lowering import prices. She says those are going to pass through the system. They're transitory. She's confident that inflation is going to move back to the Fed's 2% target.
What did she say, if anything at all, about China? Because in the Q&A after the news conference last week, she was asked a lot about it. She spoke a lot about it. What about in this particular address?
So it's a 23-page speech with a 3-page appendix and 8 or 9 graphics in there. So my recollection is she does not mention the word China at all, because I would have flagged that. She does mention the idea of overseas economic weakness and dollar strength being things that put downward pressure on inflation. But this time around, China was not central to what is really an academic speech about inflation.
Your instinct, having followed several chairs of the Federal Reserve, would it be more likely that rates would rise at a meeting where they have a press conference following it, which is, I believe, the December meeting, as opposed to the October meeting? And is there anything that says they might raise interest rates outside of a meeting?
I don't think they have a reason to raise outside of a meeting. That's the easy part of the question. I think they could well do it later in October. Let's say, for example, you get the next payroll report, which is the September report, which comes in early October, and it comes in at 250,000 or 275,000, and the unemployment rate ticks down from 5.1%, let's say even below 5%. The Fed could go ahead and hike rates.
That could be the green light.
And they have a system in place, by the way, which they've made public, to hold a press conference after a meeting in which no press conference is called. So they get reporters on the phone, and the chair will both explain herself and explain what the committee did and take questions from reporters.
Given what you know about the market, and obviously you know a lot, will this speech reassure the market or spook the market?
So, given the last several months, I feel like I know less about the market than I thought I knew.
Join the group.
Right, okay. and I always say, if you're not confused, you're not paying attention. So I thought the market would be happy with the idea that the Fed did not raise rates last week. The market has gone straight down since that time period. I have to think that it's worth entertaining the possibility that the reverse is true. That if the Federal Reserve were to hike and remove that uncertainty over the when, which, by the way, Yellen says is not a big deal, the when. She says the more important deal is the rate of increases, which she says will be gradual and will be low. But I think that if that's possible, the market could actually rally on that news.
All right, we'll leave it there,
but it's
Steve.
Anyone's guess.
It is anybody's guess. That's what makes a market, right? Thanks, Steve. Steve Leisman.